So there are three fundamental poisons that we need to be aware of, and not to confuse our well-minded ego or our well-minded way of being ourselves with these poisons. The first is anger or frustration. If you feel anger or frustration, be aware and don't follow that. See it as a poison. The second is greed, and anybody who knows me will know a lot about what greed is. Always wanting more out of the relationship, wanting more out of the expectation, wanting more good experiences, wanting less bad experiences, etc. The third and final poison is the main poison that our work here at the Monk Life Meditation Institute prioritizes. Of course, greed is a nightmare, anger is a nightmare, delusion is also a nightmare. Delusion is specifically thinking from the view of self. Holding on to the idea of self. Holding on to the idea of someone. Delusion is also taught as or pointed as non-practical, complicated thinking. Non-practical, complicated thinking of someone's. The meditation that we practice here specifically is the meditation on the wisdom element, or meditating on non-self, meditating on impermanence, meditating on unsatisfactoriness. If we're thinking about or getting involved with having a good time, well, just you wait. There's a bad time waiting for you. This is an invitation, a continuously spontaneous invitation to timeless awareness not based on thoughts. What you think about yourself is not important in meditating on not being someone. What you think about me or someone else is not important on meditating on not someone. If you want to follow, if you want to participate, if you want to be bearable to me, you have to meditate. You have to practice. I will be as unbearable as someone can be unbearable. And of course, I will strive to be as lovely and wonderful as someone can be lovely and wonderful. But I am so-called the middle man on the middle way. This is not about me in the same way that this is not about you. And so the direction here is to meditate on not someone. In terms of social dynamics, here at the Monk Life Meditation Institute, If you would like to give me a call and talk to me, maybe send me a message and say, hey, can we have a call? These live streams are not for you. These live streams are not about you or our relationship. These live streams are not a personal teaching to you. And if you look at these live streams as if they are or could be a personal teaching for you, then, well, you're probably going to have a headache. So you are invited, you are welcomed. I'm here to help. And I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate the negative words. But this is not about positivity or negativity, my dear friends. This is about opening our Dharma eye, and we can go from there. If you are someone who is a student of mine or a follower of mine, and you are casually joining these live streams and reading comments from random people and seeing me react and respond to comments from random people, then you should meditate on non-self. If you come here as a student or a follower and you casually watch this, you are going to get into trouble. If I don't take my practice seriously, I'm going to get into trouble. This is not about if you like me or if you don't like me. If you like me, that's fine. If you don't like me, that's fine. My relationship with you is not about if I like you or if I don't like you. This is about returning to awareness. I may be friends with a 5-year-old Vietnamese boy. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be friends with you. So if you're coming here looking for me to meet some expectations of an interpersonal relationship between me and you, you may very well be going in the direction of being no friend of mine. You're not a 5-year-old boy. When we read from the teachings of Bodhidharma, you take in those teachings and you listen and you take notes and you write it down and you practice with it and you reach out and you ask questions about it. I'm not here to trick you. I'm not here to manipulate you. I'm not here to put on a face so that people are easy to believe in me and trust me and make up this fake authority about some kind of absolute view of what the Dharma is and what the practice path is. And I can recognize you. Wow, you're enlightened. You get it. I was watching Doug's Dharma, some YouTube channel. And I quote, he said, I wonder if the people out there were wondering why there isn't a chapter in the Buddhist suttas on physical exercise. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I've got to write this comment to Doug. Doug, are you fucking crazy? Now, me and my relationship with Doug and my relationship with my toilet is none of your fucking business. And you may find that you are a student or a follower or you're coming here as a practice, and yet the only thing that you fixate on and grab a hold of is not the Dharma, but something that can spin a intellectual, self-fixated whirlwind about me and you and this and that. So that may very well be my inadequacies as a teacher. But if you're coming here, you might not like what you find, and that's okay too. But these teachings aren't about what we like or what we don't like. These teachings are not about what we think about or what we don't think about. Don't think. Come here, if you want to come here as a student, as a practitioner, as a follower, come here and do not think. And if you've got not thinking down pat, then reflect on awareness. Everything else here is your problem. Don't make it my problem. Just like everything else that I do here, everything that I do and think is my problem. It's not your problem. So this is my teaching for you. Don't make my problems your problems. Because trust me, I'm not making your problems my problems. So that's basically all that I have to say for now. Also, rather than some of my student or follower or longtime spiritual friends nitpicking my activities and my teachings, maybe they could consider a sense of gratitude for my willingness to give 20, 30, 40 hours a week, or 40 hours in 3 days. So I'll be honest with you, it really takes a toll. And I'm not joining these live streams and spending 12 hours working with children and meditation practitioners and people who are really interested in spirituality. It's a lot of darkness that's coming my way. You can't imagine some of the phone calls that I've gotten. And no, I don't have to do this work, but this is something that I'm exploring. This is a direction that I'm going around. And I am here giving and sharing and exposing myself so that I can learn and grow. But if you, my student, or if you, the interested party in the teachings of Dr. Rob, don't reach out and say, "Hey, Doc, hey, Rob, could we have a call? I want to check up with you," then we're probably not going to be meeting each other where we are. If I'm live streaming for 30 or 40 hours in a 3-day period, and then all I receive from you is some comment about how difficult it is to follow me, no wonder. How can I gear my teachings towards someone that has no presence or relevance in my life? So if you want me to meet your standards, you're probably going to have to reach out and talk with me and break through the barriers of your self-interest and your self-thinking. And also, just FYI, I'm not into any of this stuff. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new moment. And there's horrible, horrible things happening all over the world. So how are you going to wake up and begin again? That's what this is about. I'm not talking about minimizing some of your browser windows and closing some of your apps on your phone. Turn it off. Then turn it back on again. Do a system refresh, do a system reset, as if you were arriving here, never having been anywhere else before. Anyways, this is not everyone's cup of tea. I don't present myself in a way that is acceptable. I don't present myself in a way that is convincing. So nobody is more aware of that than me. But this is not about convincing you of anything. And I recommend that you're not convinced of anything, especially believing in your own thoughts. I know some people have these ideas about all these different gimmicks and appearances. And then when I really get a chance, I'm gonna get what I want from you. I don't want anything from you. I don't need to be a spiritual teacher. I don't need to be a spiritual leader. I don't need to be an enlightened character online. Okay? I don't need any of this. This is just additive. This is just something that I'm giving. And please consider, friends, that in this way of giving and dragging myself into the public square, I'm getting beaten. I'm being beaten by people. I'm being spit on by people. People are pissing on me. People are attacking me. Constantly. So, don't be surprised that seem to have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And this is a part of my practice. And I'm sorry that this is not some kind of social experiment or cult building exercise where I'm going to make sure that everybody feels that they have their place and we're going to slowly enrich ourselves personally more and more. I just don't have the interest in that. And my practice right now is a way of giving. Giving shit to the compost pile of my life. And collecting other people's shit as well. Putting it all in this big compost pile. This is a natural uncovering process. And the work that we're doing here, that I'm doing right now, is to naturally uncover mysterious principles and practices that are at the core, or the belly button, of the soft white underbelly of Western colonialist, genocidal principles and practices. This work is not for myself. This work is not for myself. And I don't need it to be for or about myself. There is no tomorrow for me to strive for. There is no few years from now for me to plan for my retirement. There is no few moments from now for me to shrivel up when the police break through the door and arrest me on false charges. There is no that. So I'm not going to live that way. And I'm not going to create pretentious, contrived structures, sand sculptures, and then sell it to you as if it's concrete. You're not going to find me doing that. And like I said, it will take time. And in that time, in that meantime, I would, just FYI, I'd much rather be a comedian. I'd much rather be a crazy artist that attracts young people who are curious and interested in something funny and strange and weird and out of control than I'm interested in putting on some fucking outfit and attracting middle-aged white people to give me money and to, talk about how we're really meditating and we're really Buddhist and we're really spiritual. That's my disposition, just FYI. So you are welcome here, but that's not what I'm looking for anyways. Okay? You're very welcome here. You're welcome in my home. But you're not at my home. You're wherever you are doing whatever you're doing. You don't call me. You don't send me a voice message. You don't write me a letter. You don't send me a postcard. I'm lucky if you even send me a donation. And somehow I'm misbehaving and somehow I'm not holding up my end of the deal. At least I'm here. At least I'm showing up. At least I'm reaching out. And yes, I know that I've been misbehaving. Yes, I know that I've been making a fool of myself. Yes, I know that I've been saying inappropriate things. If I can forgive myself, then why can't you stop thinking? We're working here to help schizophrenic people. And not just that, we're working here to help schizophrenic people who can barely function and can't communicate in sentences and are totally off the map. So if you're a schizophrenic person that can function and do all that stuff, well, that's great, but that's not the priority here. We're looking to attract schizophrenics. I'm trying to be attractive to children and schizophrenics. Some people out there are looking at me with a squinched face and saying, yeah, but I don't get it. Well, yeah, that's why you're following me, because you don't get it. If you got it, then you'd be following yourself, or I'd be following you. You don't get it, so you're following me. And I'm sorry, but there's no excuse. You want to be seriously involved in this way, then write a letter, reach out, call. The least you could do is call. Here at the Monk Life Meditation Institute, we are trying to attract, to bring in children and schizophrenics who need help, who are interested in the truth, who are ready to move forward. We're looking for children who can become successful childism advocates in their own right. We are looking for schizophrenics who can practice mindfulness and detachment from the voices and the thoughts in their head and need help to do so. I have experienced schizophrenia, and I have cured my own schizophrenia. Anyways, everybody gets excited because there's a ride to jump on, But the teaching here is to stop jumping on the ride. Stop jumping on all these rides. You can sit and listen and practice meditation in a way of not grasping onto what's being said or appearances. Look, it doesn't have anything to do with me. Why are you, all these people who come around and they want to blame me for them being interested in me? How is that my fault? You manipulated me, you abused me, you took advantage of me. Me. What about you? Let's focus on you. Stop talking about me. It takes time to grow. It takes time to expand. It takes time to release and relax. It takes years. So I'm going to continue. I don't know what you're going to do. And I don't have the luxury of being attached to what you're going to do. One of my teachers used to talk to me about this. A Vietnamese Zen teacher from the Truc Lam tradition. Master Thich Nhat Hanh. And he said, yeah. These people will follow you when you're healthy. But if you're sick, what will they do? There's a mysterious principle inside of this. The illusoriness of appearances. All those people talking about, well, the way you've been acting lately, I don't think that this lives up to my standard of spirituality. Sure. But what if I looked like the Elephant Man? What if I was horribly disfigured? Would you be interested to look at me? To listen to me? And so in the same way, there's a problem in me portraying myself in a way to make you feel comfortable to be my student or my follower or my devotee. Well, I can deal with devotees. So I don't want you to burden me. How about that? How about I write that on a letter? I don't want you to be a burden to me. Anybody relate to that? And also, equally, I don't want to burden you. We don't have to do any of this. That's the joy of this. That's the wonderfulness of this. That's the truth of this. That is the exquisitas of this. We don't have to do this. I don't have to live stream. You don't have to watch. You don't have to be spiritual. Start drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, take heroin, take fentanyl. You don't have to live. You don't have to do anything. You have to die. Be mindful of the death of the you that understands this and that and makes decisions and holds positions, etc. We're talking about real Buddhism here. We're not talking about walking around in America and inspiring people and talking and deceiving people into meditating and making people feel better. We're talking about the truth here. There is no self. There is no real you, and there is no real me. There is nothing that is permanent. That means that even if you grasp onto something, you can't hold on to it because it will disappear. There is no satisfaction to be found in this world. There is no satisfaction to be found in this world. So it's not worthwhile to grasp. It's not worthwhile to hold on to. Who wouldn't like good friends? But we don't have to be friends. Even my wife here, I'm going to take a look at her. During the beginning of this live stream, I was so angry. I wanted to pick up a chair and smash it and scream at her because in the midst of my silence and my presence, she was sitting over there watching an anime and chewing on Cheetos and just relaxing and letting it all be. While I was here doing something important, I was meditating on silence. That's just anger. Even me and my wife, we don't have to be together. I always think about that, you know? Would I live with my wife if she was horribly disfigured? No. What, am I a saint? Would I live with my life if she smelled horrible all the time? No. I'm not a saint. Would you be here following me if I was not a very attractive man or if I was extremely disfigured? No, probably not. Regardless of if you understand the teachings that I share, would you follow me or listen to me if I couldn't speak well? So all of this is meant to be a disappearing mirror, to look at and to look into your own mind. I am just a vehicle. I am just a means. I am just a fractal of yourself and your own mind. And I'm working with what I have to work with now. Doing my advocacy work, doing my activism work, it gets dirty sometimes. Doing this work online, working with someone like Shiva Kailash Shambho, it gets very dirty. But this is the work that I have access to do. If you weren't so poor, you could set up a high-end meditation retreat in Spain or Italy or Peru, and you could spend money to advertise it, and we could get a bunch of people together and record a bunch of formal videos, and we would have a retreat together, the best retreat that you would like, in the way that you would like it. That's not the case. So this is the way that it is. Instead of thinking for yourself, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, why don't you stop thinking and see through me and take refuge in the teachings and the way of awareness. And if you are taking refuge in someone and they're constantly teaching as close to teaching to you personally as they can, you reach out and you say, hey, I need help. I want to talk to you, and you're welcome. And so the people talking about my family members saw this live stream, my family members found out that I was following you, and it was just unbelievable. Your family members don't know anything about meditation. They don't know anything about Buddhism. So what is the answer to that? Well, What if I acted in a better way and presented myself in a better way? So now when you show my live streams and my videos to people, they'll say, "Huh, y'all see the Super Bowl? That fucking Mexican. You think our Super Bowl is something to fuck around with? You think you're gonna make a laughing stock of good-minded Americans with a fucking Spanish-speaking live stream Super Bowl halftime show? You know what this country was built on, and you know what this country is." So, this is my retirement announcement. I am retiring from being a former Buddhist monk of 7 years. I am retiring from being a spiritual teacher. I am retiring from being anybody in particular. And anybody here who wants to follow me or be involved with me in any way, you can do that. But I am no longer a spiritual teacher. I am no longer a former Buddhist monk of 7 years. I am no longer taking any responsibility for my actions, for my thoughts, for my words, for my phrases. I am no longer taking any responsibility for my impact on other people. I am totally retired from taking any responsibility at all. I will no longer be taking responsibility for anything, for anyone, for my actions of speech, for my actions of thought, and for my bodily actions. I am no longer taking any responsibility for anything that I do or say or think. So this is the announcement being made here. I am retiring from taking responsibility. I will no longer take responsibility at all.
let's see. Oh. Yeah. No, let's see.
Honey, you sad? They say you look sad. You're not happy. Yeah, you're not happy. You not look happy.
Why?
You look not happy.
Why not happy? Just happy.
You happy? Are you happy or not?
Happy. Why so in the part in happy and not happy? Inside very peace.
Inside very peace. Happy or not happy, inside very peace. That's what she say. Does that shirt look familiar to anybody? So she's a little bit different from me, actually, in her sensibilities. She's very much a natural person and a off the camera person, and she can take many responsibility, but she not interested in the status or being the important person or being the representative person. Whereas for me, especially when I was a monk, I was, gritting my teeth until my gums bled to find some way where I could be the teacher, or I could be responsible, or I could be recognized. And she's very different from that. That's not my girlfriend, that's my Dakini, my wife, my consort, my non-dual consort. And very difficult to keep in line, very disobedient, and as far as I know, she watches me when I'm unaware that she's watching me, and making determinations and discernments and things like that. So we all have our freedom. It's one thing to watch me when I know that you're watching me. It's a whole other thing to watch me when I don't know that you're watching me. We had a situation recently where the Vietnamese, they like to eat like a hot pot, or they like to eat like a complicated food, or like a complicated noodles, where the way that it's prepared and presented, you have to mix it up, you have to put it all together. There's too many ingredients for the size of the bowl, so the bowl's overfilling, and you have to use chopsticks to manage it and control it. And it's a whole ordeal. The Vietnamese people, they'll sit down for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours eating these complicated meals. And for me, that can be very frustrating. Just give me the cheeseburger, let me inhale it, and let me, go on with my life. I'm actually thinking about doing a cheeseburger eating, YouTube watching, or movie watching pleasure tutorial. And when I thought about that, I said, wow, well, that should really be vegan, because I'm not going to fetishize eating meat. That's not right. But this is a transitionary time for me, and it's very unknown. You can see, I call her the baby or the honey, and you can see maybe right now she's the honey because the bee is trying to get inside. The bee is hungry to get inside. I don't know what that bee is doing, why it wants to get inside my house like in that way. But she is very sweet and very kind, and there's no excuse for anger. There's no excuse for greed. There's no excuse for delusion. It's like making an excuse to poison yourself. You may very well be poisoning yourself, but it doesn't need an excuse. I'm not a big LSD fan. I'm not a big mushroom fan. I'm not a big psychedelics fan. I don't have a high ideal about like taking psychedelics or tripping or anything like that. But the highest dose of psychedelics, or the strongest psychedelic experience I've ever had, would be 3 full cups, 3 full doses of ayahuasca. But this is not about ayahuasca. This is not about tripping. This is about not thinking. I'm a communist, I'm a socialist, and my teaching here is to not think, stop thinking. I don't care if you're drunk, or you're high, or you're on your period, or you're upset, stop thinking. And reflect upon awareness, or reflect upon serenity, the serenity of just being alive with whatever it is. That is to do without attachment, or to not do without attachment. Not thinking is reflecting upon awareness. Thoughts prevent one from reflecting upon the real mind or the true mind, which, just like the real heart or the true heart, is not based in thought. Also, I know that I've made some announcements about some mysterious heart pain and possibly having an issue with my heart. My partner here illuminated for me that I oftentimes sleep on my side, and because of that, there's a tendon or there's a thing in here that has a pain. And so that's not the heart, that's just a tendon in the chest area from sleeping on the side. So as far as I know, my heart is in good shape. If you would like to receive guidance, if you would like to receive teachings, if you would like to receive support, if you are interested in the practice and the training and the science and technology of not thinking, this is my YouTube channel. This is where I share. This is where I teach. This is where I practice. You're welcome. Don't expect me to try and track you down and make you not think. It's up to you if you're interested in this or not. It's up to you if you want to be here or not. Cheddar Urchin says monks or enlightened beings are allowed to eat meat and do drugs. Difference is the monk or the enlightened being doesn't get addicted because they have self-control. This is not completely correct, and I would not recommend that you smoke weed regularly, but rather I would recommend you practice not thinking now. And yes, there is a difference between doing something without and doing something within. There is a difference between just doing something and just not doing something, or doing or not doing something with a lot of stories and thoughts and nonsense stacked on top of it. Basically, weed makes you hallucinate. It fuels the complicated thinking mind. And in this science and technology, or lack of science and technology of not thinking, the last thing that you want to do is smoke weed. How long has everyone here known about me? That's correct, Polly. It's not fun to cross paths with me. Just to do a poll, how long has everyone here known about me or followed along with me? 15 minutes, hi there. 10 seconds. 5 months. 1 week. And courage is the cure. There's a very deep truth to that. Courage is the cure. A couple of months, 4 or 5 months, 5 years, 7 years, 3 days, couple months, several months. Nice. Hi. 7 months, a month or two, 3 months. Anyone else? Time you've been following and known about me and been involved in some way? I don't know. For me, if I was someone else and I was like actually looking at this as if it was something real and not like just some idea of another person on YouTube Shorts, but if I was looking at this as if it was something real, actually I'd be very curious about that. And to be a real clown is actually a pretty high honor. Buongiorno. Buenos muertes. Mi bella Italia. The Monk Life Meditation Institute is not just a Zen training community and teaching institute, but we have research projects here. So we're researching certain subtle and mysterious principles and practices of the Western world to hopefully create the infrastructure for long-term volunteering and social work under the umbrella of mindfulness and detachment. But, you can't be in a hurry with these kinds of things. Usually people get out ahead of themselves and they start teaching or they start taking on this kind of big project or big idea too soon. So I don't want to do that. I want to be fully ready to when I step into something like that, to make the very best use of it and be able to give my whole heart, my whole body, my whole mind to that. Henrail Nomini says, is this really the place where you want to be, where people show their hatred and throw words at you? It's okay with me right now. And this is becoming less and less of a toxic place as time goes by. This is a very exclusive community, but we're doing our best to be as inclusive as we possibly can. I got scammed for another $20 on a CapCut subscription. Cancel your subscriptions, everybody, before those subscriptions cancel you. Those subscriptions will empty your bank account sooner than you can say, but where is the morality? Well, you'll be saying that with an empty bank account. Please cancel your subscriptions, everyone. Okay, KK says, can I seriously ask you, Rob? This is all an act, right? For money and views. I'm not making any money. In the past week, I've worked well. I've live streamed well over 40 or 50 hours. And I've received very few donations of any kind, especially concerned with the live streaming. So this is certainly not about making money at all. And is this an act? Well, let's take a look. Is this an act? Am I acting? Am I a good actor? Am I a good actor? So anyways, we all make our own determinations, you know what I mean? Cool. Nice one, Dippity Dog. And we have to do this kind of work and this processes to open up the space for our play and for our enjoyment and for our freedom. And once you really start to get it, wow, is Dr. Rob a real joy. But Dr. Rob might trap you inside of a warehouse and torture you. That could happen. Why not? Why couldn't that happen? We talk about modern neuroscience and multiversal realities. So in that situation, are you going to be thumbs up? Yeah, let's party, Dr. Rob. So there's a version of Dr. Rob that is someone who's leading people to enlightenment. And there is a version of Dr. Rob who's slowly enticing people to trap them in a warehouse and torture them. So until you are sure that you being tortured to death would be just fine, we're going to have to keep showing up and practicing. Yeah. Nice, Courage. Deep bow, Courage. Welcome. You're too kind. You're too generous. No such thing as being too generous unless you really get yourself messed up, but that's very kind. Thank you, Courage. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do, just FYI. For everybody who's watching, I'm trying to present myself in such an inexplicable way where people are curious enough to look into me and then go through that processing, and we can find out who this guy actually is and what this is actually about. And I think that's a good endeavor. And thank you for the 5 donation, JM Cyver. And just FYI, everybody, YouTube takes 30%. And it's nice to be a real person. I've been exhausting myself the past couple of days with the live streams, and I've been getting very tired and a headache, and been going a little bit overreaching, and I think some people have felt that. But that's also a part of the practice, is the overreaching. going through that process. Yeah. And Scorp V 2.0 says we need more mental hospitals. Yeah, Scorp V 2.0. We do need more mental hospitals. It's really curious and interesting. Like for me to imagine, because I can see myself on the screen, right? So I can look at myself. But this idea that someone else who has a different mind from me is also looking at me. In the same way that like just the seeing is basically the same. Like you have 20/20 vision or you have 20/30 vision, but green doesn't look blue to you. You know, it's not like you're seeing in black and white. So that vision of me seeing myself is basically equal to the vision of you seeing me. So what do you see? And is not your like seeing what you see just as valid and just as real as what me seeing what I see of myself? We're both looking at the same screen. I have a little bit extra like options for different ways to change the live stream. Like I could give myself lipstick. Or I could give myself extra eyes. Or I could even give myself a big head. And of course, you know, I already have a very big head. I could be underwater. I kind of like that one. There's something peaceful about it. Could be something like that. Could be something like that. But one way, so one way to think about this corpse mankind, and I don't think this is particularly useful, but I'll just share it with you. So one way to look about it is for science and technology. So you could have somebody that was like a very advanced carpenter. It wouldn't matter how they personally appear. It wouldn't have anything to do with like the science or technology that they're portraying or expressing or making use of. So there can be it's possible that there's some element of that in this related to the science and technology of bringing an end to suffering or seeing through the veil of like a created truth or like a story-based truth of reality. Will, you're looking at someone right now who spent 7 years as a Buddhist monk. You are looking at someone right now who spent 7 years as a Buddhist monk. I read somewhere that to repeat yourself is violent. Like is actually an act of violence for me to repeat myself. Nice, Chineth. And so, how I feel about my students or my followers or my spiritual friends that really get me is that they also get themselves in a way where they're kind of, we all have to move forward. So I really respect that. I respect some of my student and follower and devotee, just a small group, but it's not like I can carry you on my back to where you need to go. I'm just me. You're just you. What, we need to abuse each other or we need to abuse ourselves? I don't think so. We need to convince each other of something? No, I don't think so. We need to give money to each other. We need to pay for things. No, I don't think so. I don't think we have to do that at all. I don't believe in that. I don't support that. I don't want you to do that. I'm not interested in you doing that. And things change. That's today, tomorrow, maybe I have a stomach ache and I say, wow, it'd really be nice if somebody sends me some money. That's life, isn't it? But I'm gonna get what I want. I shall control you. 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 And of course, where's that's coming from? It's coming from myself. It's not coming from anybody else out there. It's coming from inside of me. Do you know how much of a burden it is? I can't even comprehend how much of a burden it is to try and manipulate and control someone else. And everybody, what even is manipulation? Then we get into, the real duality. There's nothing scarier than real duality, is there? There's nothing scarier than real duality, is there? Depending on who you are. And then there's nothing more appealing and more interesting than real duality if you're a god. And then if you're a demon or you have a contract with the hell realm or something like that, then there's nothing more appealing than or scary than non-duality, real duality. I'm losing myself. We are resting was vertical, and my wife actually, when I told her that I wanted to do this live stream to kind of give an update for people and kind of share some news because I felt I had the energy, and she slapped me in the face and she said, the way that you've been going, you don't have the energy. Those people can't understand you, and you're stooping to such low points. And I said, woman, don't you ever stop being the beautiful, wonderful person that you are. And then I went over here and I started my live stream. Sawadee-kap. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Mangalaba, Tuira Wandavade, Kankaubaze, Kesa Mashibabu, Kesa Mashibabu, Sawadee-kap, Annyeonghaseyo, Xin Chào, Namaste, Achaho, Achaho. Terawan Saranai. Shitakimasu. Ni hao. Nice courage. Daryl Brown, I don't know. So just a few moments ago, I'm constantly wrong about things because I will make the action of attachment or doing with attachment, such as the notion of I and speaking from the notion of I. Professionally speaking, I should learn to, or Dr. Rob should learn to think or speak in the third person. It's a lot more appropriate for Dr. Rob to speak in the third person than it is for him to use the word I. Rick, you can do nicotine pouches. You might also try to use a bong with tobacco. So just to take like a bong rip of tobacco, and then you're not smoking so regularly or using nicotine so regularly. we do have to deal with the nicotine question, but that's just as valid as dealing with the coffee question or dealing with the eating food question. And so actually, it's an attachment question. It's how do we deal with attachment? Sure, I could do Sakyant if I decided to do that. And Rick R., it's a totally different experience. So Rick R., one of the things that the men, especially in northern Vietnam, do is they wake up with a bong rip of tobacco. And man, I tell you what, you better be ready for it, because it will put you on your ass. It will put you on your back. And you won't be thinking about continuously smoking tobacco after that. All right, everybody. So let's count down from 10, and then we'll end the live stream. Unless someone makes a donation and asks a question. Let's count down together. When I say 10, there will be a pause, and then you say 10. Then I'll send 9, and there'll be a pause, and then you say 9. So of course, you can say 9, but for everyone, you can actually type it in. You ready? Here we go. Counting down to the end of this live stream. 10. 9. 8. All right, so let's start again now that everybody gets the point, and let's do it together. So when I say 10, you type down 10 and you hit send, then there will be a pause, and then I'll do 9 and you type down 9 and you press send. So this is something we can all do together in our counting down to the ending of this live stream. Are you ready? You can just say yes verbally or in your own mind. Then we'll go to the countdown. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. We'll say this last one all together. We'll say this last one all together. Zero. Goodbye.